Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 246 of the Co-op Podcast. I'm your host, Richard Bailey Jr., and today I'm joined by Mr. Gary A. Swaby. How's it going, Gary?
It's going good, man. The weather's been good this weekend over here, which I'm happy about because, now people are outside half naked, so that's always a good sight. But yeah, I'm excited to be back on the show to talk about gaming.
Absolutely. We're also joined by Mr. Jake James Lugo. How's it going, Mr. Lugo?
I'm doing good, Rich. Excited to talk some more games and stuff. I'm back from PAX East 2018, and I had a great time when I was up there.
Awesome. Yes, absolutely. We're also joined by Mr. Max Muller. How's it going, Max?
Hey, how's it going, Rich? Happy to be back.
Yes. Also joined by Miss Dana Abercrombie. How's it going, Dana?
Hi, I'm alive. I have the Ebola virus, but I'm alive.
Yes, get better soon, though, if that in that case. We have a very special guest today. We're joined by Mr. Tony Polanco. How's it going, Mr. Polanco?
It's going great, man. I'm trying to stay warm today after trying to stay cool yesterday. It's crazy, man.
I totally understand that. But so let me just start off real quick. And, I want to apologize for the fans that was expecting an episode last week. I know I was very, very ill last week, and I know Gary was not around. So we do apologize for that, but we will make up for that with today's episode. So stay tuned because we have a lot to discuss. But before we get into all the topics, definitely want to ask you guys what you have been playing. So, Mr. Polanco, how about you start us off and let us know what you've been playing?
Man, okay, we're going to bookend this shit because I'm going to talk about this game at the end of the show. But yeah, I've been playing God of War. It's all that shit you've been hearing, 10 out of 10s, 5 out of 5s, 100s out of 100s. It's all true, man. It's all true. Great game. The only thing is, like, right now, I am a little bit stalled in playing it. Here's some little insider baseball for you guys I don't know. When you get a review copy early, you cannot see the trophies. You're not, because games usually get like a day before patch for trophies. So I don't really know what I'm working towards. So I right now, I'm taking a little break, waiting for the trophies to come back because I definitely want to try to see if I get the platinum. I already got the platinum in all the other God of War games. I'm going to try to get it in this one. And we also started playing GTA again, because here's the thing about Throwdown. We don't really have many games that we all like at this. You know what I'm saying? We all have different game tastes. GTA seems to be one of those games that we all like. So we went back to play that. But yeah, other than that, it's just been God of War and just that little snippet of GTA. A little bit dry right now because I already finished Ni no Kuni. I finished a bunch of those other big games that came out earlier this year. So I'm just and I just finished God of War. So I'm kind of like in a little bit of a gaming limbo right now. It's like, what am I going to be playing now after I, try to get the platinum in God of War? But yeah, man, that's pretty much it right now.
Yeah, that sounds good. Well, I know a lot of people looking forward to hearing about God of War. So yeah, we will definitely talk about that a little later on. Okay. How about you, Mr. Lugo? Let us know what you've been playing.
Yeah, sure. Number one.
We'll talk about that a little later on.
Yeah, so basically, whoa, hold on. Somebody,
yeah, I hear that echo.
The echo of the stream because I'm trying to be in the chat and stuff. But basically, yeah, there's been a couple things I've been playing. Two main things, outside of events, because everybody, like I mentioned before, I went to PAX East last weekend. Had a blast. Got to play a lot of the games that were on display there, a lot of different stuff. We actually have a PAX East 2018 debrief show that I did with Gary where I talked about everything that I played up there. So a couple of the highlights were Soul Calibur 6, Wolfenstein 2 on the Nintendo Switch, The Messenger from Sabotage Studio, and a whole bunch of other great games that were on display there, both on the floor and off the floor, which is pretty cool. The main games I've been playing, on my off time, I have a review of Super Darrow Deluxe, which is up on the website right now that you guys could check out. Interesting game, fun little kind of tongue-in-cheek premise, as well as a couple other neat little stuff about it that I thought was cool that I mentioned in the review, but definitely check that out when you guys get a chance. I also, as of last night, I also just finished episode Ignis in Final Fantasy 15. I decided to go back to the game, and I never got a chance to finish up the final DLC episode that was released a little while back. And I finally sat down and played it, really enjoyed it for what it was, even though I had a couple nitpicks here and there. But it was good to go back and play that and kind of like experience all of it. Now, especially since they announced Season 2 of the DLC for that game, which is probably going to be coming out in late 2018 to 2019, more than likely. So at least I got all that out the way. And then finally, one of the other ones I'll mention really briefly, because I deleted it off my console, was Star Wars Battlefront 2. Now, I know that there's new DLC content coming out for the game this week. It's the Ewok content with the Stormtroopers on Endor. However, I even put a poll out on Twitter asking everybody, like, I'm pretty much done with this game. Should I delete it? And everybody unanimously was like, okay, just get rid of it, because there's no point in playing the game any further. And I felt very similar to that. I've been wrestling with that idea for a while. So I played a little bit more of that, did what I had to do, felt like there was nothing much more left there, and I got rid of it on my console. So moved on from there. But either way, that's what I've been playing.
Sounds good. Okay, Dana, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
Barely was able. I'm like in between two gosh, I forgot the words. What you call it? Sorry, I'm in between like two festivals, so barely have been able to play Detective Pikachu. I wanted to play it just solely out of curiosity, because if you looked at any of like the trailers and stuff, it looks awful, and the voice acting is just awful. It sounds like the 80-year-old disgruntled man. So I started playing it, and it's cute. It really is. It's a really great game. Like if you just need something to pass the time really quickly while you're stuck in between like certain events or doing stuff. But I like it, like in that really corny, cheesy way. But yeah, the cases that you solve is basically grade level. So you don't have to put much thought into it. The design of the game is pretty basic. But overall, it's fun. And like I said before, it really helps. Is really great art, and it looks a little bit more cartoony, but it's grounded in its cartooniness, if that makes any sense. Like it doesn't go completely out of control with the graphics and the animation of how it looks. So I think that they did a pretty good job with it. I like the gadgets that you get to use, and I like that you get to get help from like the other players and stuff. So that's pretty cool. I like the training aspect about it. So I like it. It's a fun game.
Sounds good. So I'm pretty sure that Gary is a huge Pokemon fan, so he might check this out in the future. But Gary, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
I don't know about that, but yeah, I've been playing, of course, Overwatch, and this week they actually released an update, which is the archives. And what it is basically every year at this time, like in April, they're going to go back and tell one of the past stories from the Overwatch lore and everything. So last year we had Tracer's first mission, and this year we got Retribution, which is basically the mission where one of the main villains, Reaper, this is where he basically turns bad, because he used to be part of Overwatch in a covert operations group called Blackwatch. And during this mission, it's got cutscenes and everything. The actual update was like 14 gigs, which is like big for Overwatch updates. So there's a lot of cutscenes, there's a lot of additional animations and stuff that have been added into this mode. It's basically PvE, so you can team up with 3 other people, and you basically have to attack everyone, all the bad guys and stuff like that. But it basically tells a story of when Reaper first turned, which is really interesting. And I hope that they do more content like this, because one of the things people always complain about with Overwatch is that there isn't enough story content in it. The lore is really deep in the game, like if you do read about it online and read the comics and stuff like that. So it's good to see that they're actually putting some of that storytelling into the events that they bring out for the game periodically and stuff. And you can also play last year's mission too. Like you can play the one with Tracer as well. So you've got the choice of playing both of those, which is really cool. And besides that, I've been playing Final Fantasy 12, and I fell in love with this game again because when the game first came out on PS2, in Europe, it was literally a month before the PS3 came out. So because I got a PS3, a couple weeks after launch, I basically gave up playing Final Fantasy 12 at that point because, shiny new toy and everything. So like I never actually got to finish the game. But saying that, I don't think I even appreciated the game as back then as much as I do now. Like this game was so much more mature than the Final Fantasy games before it, in terms of the storytelling and, just the way the gameplay is. Like it's very complex. It's very MMO like. And I think that's what they were going for because this was around the time when they had Final Fantasy 11. So I think they wanted to make a game like that. So yeah, like I'm just falling in love with that game all over again because I like super grindy games, and this is a super grindy game. Like you have to do a lot of grinding. You have to know how to level your characters and stuff like that. You have to save up gil to buy all the right equipment and all the moves and everything that you want for them. And that's the type of like grinding I like in RPGs. So I'm loving that at the moment. Besides that, I did want to play some Monster Hunter, but I'm just waiting on people to play with. But I might just hop on later on and do a couple missions by myself. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, that's pretty much all I've been playing.
Sounds good. And I have to once again give you props, Gary. You played more than Overwatch this week. So that right there is an achievement.
Yeah, I got to give myself a pat on the back for
that. Okay, Max, how about you let us know what you've been playing?
I haven't been able to play a whole lot just because work has been back up again, which is like kind of nice. But today I'm going to try and get some game time in after some writing. But I ended up getting a PS4 last week-ish around. So I got Nier and Crash, and I've been trying to fit them in when I can. Like Crash is an easy game to fit in like 10, 20 minutes here and there, obviously, because they're just like really short levels and everything. So that's a really nice throwback because I absolutely loved these games growing up, as most people did. I will say, I remember people saying it's a super hard game. It's still difficult, but I'm not having too much trouble with it so far. I remember they said like the remaster kind of made it harder or something like that. Like they changed the difficulty. They like smoothed out hitboxes or something like that. But to me, everything seems to be pretty on point. Like I don't feel like I'm missing jumps or anything like that. Maybe I need to be paying a little bit more attention, or maybe that's something later on. I'm only in the second game right now, but and right at the start of it too. But I've been enjoying it so far. And then I got to try a little bit of Nier. I've kept very in the dark on Nier on purpose. So I heard there's like a bunch of different endings and everything like that, but that's really all I know. And I've gotten, like, for people who don't know, the first, like, I guess it's an hour or so, you can't save the game. So if you die, you have to restart. And I guess that's part of like the ending and part of the game and everything. The story like kind of explains that so far. I have come so close to beating this part like twice now. And I'm playing on one of the hardest difficulties. So I'm like, you die very, very quickly and you can't lock on. So it's been pretty interesting trying to get through this part over and over and over again. But I'm getting closer and closer. I think I'm at like what would be like the last boss before you can start saving the game. Like it seems to be a pretty penultimate or like ultimate kind of enemy to fight. So, and I'm almost done, but he like gets me in one hit. Like he'll just like nab me out like from the side of the screen when I've almost got him. It's kind of like playing Dark Souls. And so that's fun, but I'm really enjoying it, and I can't wait to actually save and actually get into the game a little bit more when I have the time to do that. But so that's really all I've been playing for the most part. Oh, I've been fitting in Resident Evil 4 as well. Or yes, Resident Evil 4 when I can on Xbox as well, because that was on sale for like $8 a couple weeks ago. So I've been fitting that in slowly. That game is awesome. I've just been chipping away at it very slowly. But other than that, not too much. Just fitting it in when I can.
That's awesome. Sounds good. So as for myself, I will admit right now, you guys, all of you definitely played a lot more than I played this past week. But there's one game that I did play since we recorded our last show. It's a game that I got a chance to play with Adam Vale of the Throwdown, as well as WrestleCast. And that's a game called A Way Out. Now, obviously, there was some news this week that game has sold over 1 million copies in just the 2 weeks that it's been out. I'm not going to spoil any of the story stuff, but I'm just going to say this is a must-play multiplayer game. I would tell anyone, if you like co-op games, you absolutely need to play this game as soon as possible. It's made by the same team that worked on Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. And essentially, it's two different characters that you work together. Now, obviously, if you saw the EA, when they first revealed it at the EA show last year, you would get the impression, well, this is the Prison Break game. It's only about escaping prison, but there's a lot more to the game even after they get out of prison. And one of the points of a lot of controversy is how it ends. Like I said, I'm not going to go into any spoilers here because I actually want people to play the game, but that ending, there is, it's going to be split for some people. There are some that are going to enjoy it because of what they did with the story, and there are some that are just going to completely dislike it because it's a very heart-wrenching ending. I'm on the side of loving it. Adam loved it as well because it's just very, it takes into account the storytelling, and you have to pay attention to the story to understand where it's going to end at. But I can't really say enough about this game. I just say you definitely need to play it. The way that they have the gameplay where it's split screen, and then how they do some of the camera cuts that show different perspectives, and then when there's something important happening to one character, like the screen will just cut to focus on that character entirely, and then it goes back into split screen mode. I mean, it's fantastic how they put it together. And I definitely would encourage everybody or anybody that loves co-op games, multiplayer. I believe you can do local as well. I mean, everything I've done was online, but it's a fantastic game. I definitely recommend you check it out if you are interested. But yeah, that pretty much concludes what we have been playing for this week. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump right into the topics. So first and foremost, this news was some news that we got late on Friday night, as I believe Sega sent out a couple of press releases to everybody. And we basically got confirmation that Shenmue 1 and 2 are being re-released on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One sometime later this year. Now, there was no release date given. I can only assume that maybe we'll hear more about that at E3 or closer to that time or sometime after. But I wanted to ask you guys, are you excited to have an opportunity to play Shenmue 1 and 2 on more updated consoles? And Max, how about we start with you? Are you looking forward to this re-release, or will you pass on this?
I think it's cool that they're doing this for the fans, but Shenmue is that is not something I played. That was before my time. It's definitely something that's always interested me, especially with the third one coming out. But also, I've been seeing everything on Twitter, people saying this game does not hold up per se. Not that it's necessarily a bad game, just that it's a game of its time, and it seems to be very limiting now, and it'd just be very hard to get into and play. Not that it's necessarily a bad game or anything like that. So, and I imagine that's not going to be changed much in the remaster. I've actually been meaning to look into some videos just to kind of see what they mean. I know you do a lot of basic stuff. I know you kind of live a normal life, if I'm not mistaken. I know you go fishing and do random things like that. But it does sound interesting, and I feel like I'm the type of person who would be able to pick it up and maybe push through some of those things because I'm always interested in weird gaming experiences. So maybe we'll see. If I watch some gameplay and it still looks like something that would appeal to me, yeah, I'd probably pick up the remasters, but it's nothing I'm overly excited about or anything. I have so much other stuff to catch up on that intrigues me more. But I don't know. Maybe before 3 comes out, I'd pick them up or something. But yeah, it's cool that they're doing it.
Oh, absolutely. It's worth noting, Shenmue 3 is supposed to come out 2018. I haven't heard any other news about that, so I can only assume that Sony will talk about this at their press conference at E3. Because last I heard December 2018, but they had no other news yet, so we'll see about that. How about you, Mr. Lugo? Are you looking forward to Shenmue 1 and 2 again?
I think it's fine. I think it's cool. It gives everybody an opportunity to play these games when they can. Again, not everybody was able to experience Shenmue 1 and 2 on Dreamcast and on all the other previous platforms and stuff. So this could also be a telling sign that maybe Shenmue 3 development is getting a little bit closer. I mean, again, or it could just be something to tide us all over until maybe the next like year or two when we finally get this game. I think one of the other interesting things that was also announced at that same event was also the actual Mega Drive Mini. If you don't remember, it was at the same event. The problem is though, alongside of that, is that the Mega Drive Mini was being developed with Ad Games parts, which is a damn shame.
Yeah,
But real talk though, just to stick to Shenmue 1 and 2, I think it's cool. Hopefully, you know, they give it the works. They give it to kind of like, you know, not remastered, but like, you know, re-released, you know, cleaned up graphics, obviously sound remixing and stuff like that. I know that's going to come with both the dual English and Japanese audio, so you could be able to play it like both ways if you wanted to, which I think is cool. And then the same thing, obviously, with trophies and achievements. That's pretty dope. Now I'm curious to know if that when we go to E3, if we actually get a release window for Shenmue 3, besides these as well, if we actually get a little bit more clarification on that stuff.
I personally will hope so. Because I mean, we have to wait and see, but yeah, I would hope that they definitely give some type of update with a more significant release date information, but we'll see. So how about you, Dana? Are you looking forward to Shenmue 1 and 2, or are you going to pass on this?
No, I think it's a really great thing. I think it's wonderful that because, you know, as you guys were saying previously, these are consoles basically that kids of this generation hasn't really been able to truly experience like how we have back in the day. So it's really great. We're going to have, you know, a whole new generation discovering these games and playing them, and they're pretty decent. My whole thing is Shenmue 3 right now looks like actual garbage juice. And so I don't know what's going on with that, you know, and I would like an update as well. And I hope that they fixed it. So, you know, 1 and 2, yay. But if you got to say something about 3, it's going to be really sad if you have these 2 decent games and then the third one is just horrible. So we need more information.
I agree. All right, Mr. Polanco, how about you let us know your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all knew this was coming. You know, with Shenmue 3, you know, around the corner, this was going to happen. But the thing is, like, this is being put out there by Sega, and Shenmue 3 is obviously not by Sega. So I think they're just trying to capitalize on it. I don't think there's any like communication between Yu Suzuki and Sega with this. But it's interesting. By the way, quick side story for you guys. This shows you. This is going to show you my age too. First thing I ever ordered in my life from Amazon was Shenmue for the Dreamcast when it was coming out. And these motherfuckers didn't get it to me for 2 weeks. 2 fucking weeks. So I didn't shop for Amazon for like 10 years after that, you know? But yeah, that game, Shenmue, the first one particularly changed my life. Like, it really opened up what gaming could be. You know, it's funny, when I played GTA 3 for the first time, I'm like, this is just a bigger Shenmue. Because I'm doing the same type of things, you know, like I'm walking around the world, talking to people, you know, doing like crazy things. And this is also why I love the Yakuza series, because it's like a spiritual successor to Shenmue, right? I'm curious to see how I personally would feel about these games nowadays, you know, considering all the advancements we've had and stuff. But Shenmue 1, you know, especially Shenmue 1 was really like a game changer. Like, I think a lot of people that go into this clean for the first time will not properly appreciate the things that game did, because that was the first game that I played that I actually felt like I was in that world, you know, like I actually, you know, because I had a day and night cycle, you had to keep a schedule, you had to talk to people specific days, like it got crazy, man. Like I remember even doing mundane shit was crazy in the game. Like I was waiting for a bus, I'm like, oh shit, I'm waiting for a bus in a game, this is crazy right now. You know, I was losing my mind, man. And then Shenmue 2, that's another one I think people don't appreciate it, because it did come out on Dreamcast, but it wasn't released in America. Like I had to play like I'm being real right now, I had to play a bootleg European version of that for Dreamcast, because everybody remembers Dreamcast was really easy to rip games for. So I played a European version of that with subtitles and stuff. But yeah, man, I would say I'm hyped, and I'm excited, but I know the way I am, I'll probably buy it. And unless I have to review it, I probably won't even play it, because there's just too many new games coming out. But I think it's good that these games are coming out. My only thing is, and since I got this platform to say it, hey, Sega, how about you bring back Panzer Dragoon while you're at it, man? This is fucking bullshit right now. Bring back Panzer Dragoon. And I know you lost the source code for Panzer Dragoon Saga. Remake that shit from scratch, man. You're bringing back classics. Bring that shit back, please. All right, ran over.
Hey, well, I'll go ahead next. I pretty much agree that it is a good decision to bring this game back. I mean, we already figured that this was going to happen once they announced Shenmue 3. So glad that Sega is going to utilize this as an opportunity to bring it out for a new generation of people who haven't had a chance to try it out. One quick thing I will add before I pass this over to Gary is it's very interesting for me to hear that Amazon pretty much works the exact same way that they worked back in the day, where you order something and it takes forever to receive it. So that's ridiculous. But go ahead, Gary.
Yeah, you need that Prime, man. No, but yeah, like I'm actually happy that Shenmue 1 and 2 we were gonna get to play them again, you know, on all those platforms, because I've actually wanted to replay those games so badly, like over the past few years, like past maybe 10 years or so. I've been wanting to replay them because, you know, like Tony, I was there day one on the Dreamcast. Like I actually like I saved up my pocket money for weeks because I was at school back then. I saved like some days I wouldn't even eat my lunch. Like I wouldn't buy lunch or anything, like just saving up money to buy that game. So yeah, I was like super excited. And when the game came out, I loved it. You know, even though looking back at it, you do some mundane things in that game, but I still loved it, like regardless. And it was revolutionary. It inspired many of the following games that came out on PS2 and, you know, even up to now, like all these open world games and like Tony said, the Yakuza games, you know, it inspired a lot of things. So yeah, I'm glad that we're going to finally get to play those games again. And I never actually played Shenmue 2. I think I played some of it at a friend's house, but like I never actually owned it. So yeah, it's cool to finally be able to play that game as well before Shenmue 3 comes out, whether that game's going to be good or not, you know. So
yeah, so very good points. I think what Tony said, it's going to be very interesting to see if there's going to be the same level of excitement for this game, because again, there's a lot of other titles that either are already out or going to be coming out. This is why it's going to be important when they announce when this game is actually coming out, because I'm going to tell you right now, if this game is coming out anywhere near Red Dead Redemption 2, well, you can forget me taking time to play Shenmue at that point. But we'll see. All right. Any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
Yeah, can I please rant about the at game situation more? Because this is fucking stupid.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So at games, and JJ, feel free to jump in, man. They have released a bunch of like Genesis clone consoles for years, and they've been terrible, basically, you know, like really, really bad. Nothing like the NES minis, right? The quality stuff. They've been releasing shit. So when they announced this Mega Drive mini at this event, for a second, I allowed myself to get hype. I'm like, oh shit, here we go. We're going to get like an actual thing made by Sega. Then it turns out they're using at games technology. That brought the whole party down. It's like, come on, man, what are you doing? Don't team up with these people. These guys have such a horrible track record, and you keep going back to them, man. It's like you gotta. That's not right. It's like people are gonna buy this shit. They're not gonna know the history of at games. They're gonna buy this thing. They're gonna get these like shitty ports of like classic Genesis games. It's not right, man. So that was a big bummer for the night. Like you got the ultimate high of Shenmue HD, and you got the ultimate low of at games putting out another shitty, clone console. Man, it's fucked up.
I find it really weird, and I'm curious as to why they went to them after they know. And remember, not too long ago, last year actually, we got the Sega Genesis replica console, the legacy console from At Games that everybody unanimously said it was terrible. And I've seen it in action in person. I actually tried to get in touch with At Games to try to see if we could get a review of it on the website, and they never did because of all the fallout that was happening with it at other various websites. They had to release 2 versions of that, which they were both just as equally bad. And the thing is, the problem with it for anybody that doesn't know is that the emulation and the way that those consoles that are made by At Games work with not only just the built-in games that are for it, the Genesis games, which aren't all Genesis Mega Drive games. Some of them are Master System and like other random games. But also the way that they work with the actual cartridges is nothing like the Super Nintendo Classic or the NES Classic whatsoever. The only thing that the games consoles ever had on everything else was the fact that you could use your original cartridges. And that's a cool concept. That's a cool thing that a lot of other third-party off-brand replica consoles or legacy console makers really use, to their advantage, especially for people that love that original hardware and stuff. But I'm curious as to why Sega, knowing all of this, unless there was other legal reasons that we just don't know about, would go to a company like that again, to represent them as far as like making a classic replica console of again, arguably one of their biggest back in the day, especially in a world now where we have the NES and the SNES Mini, because that's the ultimate comparison right now to this, and it's not looking too good for them. What I hope at some point, maybe, they could still course correct. I hope that they could probably go to another console manufacturer, like go to Hyperkin or something. I feel like that would have been a smarter play, or to something like Analog. I believe it's not Analog. Analog. It's the ones that make the
Analog.
they're just I forgot the full name. Yeah, they make the SNES replica console now that doesn't have built-in games to it, but it works better than a traditional SNES.
Yeah, that thing's amazing. That thing's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, it has like HDMI and a whole bunch of other stuff with it. But I'm saying, why not Sega go to a company like that? Because Sega is one of those few companies that is really in tune with their audience. Like, they clearly interact with them. They clearly listen to them in some form or fashion. Again, if that was the case, we would have never gotten Sonic Mania. But the thing is that with a move like this, I feel like it's a huge step backwards, and they seem like they're really getting behind it, and I think it's the wrong move for them to do. But either way, here's hoping they course correct.
We'll see what happens. I personally think it's for them. They're thinking about the money that they can make. And maybe that's all they're thinking about, which is why they're deciding to do all this additional stuff. But we'll see what happens at the end of the day. So any final thoughts before we move on to the next topic?
I think we're good.
All right, so we're gonna move on to I will admit this, back at E3 last year, Gary and we decided to play a game that, after the show, Gary told me he absolutely loved the game. It was his highlight of E3 2017. And of course, I'm talking about Lawbreakers. So,
hell no.
This without a doubt, a smash hit for Cliffy B and company. But as we know, here's the deal. Earlier this week, Key Boss Productions announced a new Battle Royale game called Radical Heights. And obviously, it's a game that just came out. It's a game that we'll continue to support. From what I understand, when it came out at launch, you were unable to create female players. I don't really know if they fixed that particular issue yet, but a lot of people had a lot of questions about why this game was coming out so quickly. And of course, we know how popular Battle Royale genre is right now. So I guess, Gary, you posed the question, was it a bad idea for Boss Key to release this Battle Royale game? I have some thoughts on this, but I'm going to let Mr. Lugo go first, because I believe you have something you wanted to say on this. So the floor is yours.
Yeah, I don't begrudge them for making a game now, or making something that capitalizes on this fad, because right now the whole PUBG-like style of game right now is a big fad. It's a big hot thing right now at the current moment. Again, look at Fortnite and just some of the stuff that they added with that, and clearly it's being successful. So I don't begrudge a company to try to get in on the action of something that's really hot right now that's successful. Do I think it makes them look good? Honestly, not from like a visual standpoint. From a distance, I think that everybody's going to be like, oh, you're just trying to copy PUBG. Like, I don't think that they're really going to bring anything different and unique to the table, even with the whole 90s like style or late 80s like, visual aesthetic and the whole attitude and stuff. I think that's fine. I think it's a little bit passe and maybe they need to kind of explore other ideas that might make this stand out a little bit more so than what's going on with the rest of the whole battle royale genre at the current moment. I'm curious to know if people are actually going to dive in on this. I don't think so, because right now they have PUBG, they have Fortnite, they have Overwatch, even though that's not a PUBG battle royale style game, but they have all these other online shooters or multiplayer games that have real big followings right now that they could have great experiences with in one way or another. I don't see what them making Radical Heights right now is really going to do, or what it's going to offer to what people have or what gamers have right now that they can't get somewhere else. That I feel like is a question that I don't think that they've answered yet with this reveal, but maybe over time, maybe we see something different at E3, because that's the next big event that we're looking towards, where we might get answers to a lot of these style of questions.
Absolutely. One quick comment I will make on this is, so I will give them credit for just deciding that, Lawbreakers isn't working, so we're going to step away from that. We're not going to bother doing any more work on that. That's fine. However, I also have to agree. I would like to hope that they would try and do something different. Don't try and, the Battle Royale thing is popular right now, but there's a lot of competition in that particular field right now. So I don't really know if it's wise to do that unless you're going to do it different from the competition and do it extremely well.
Here's one thing I think we should acknowledge, though, Rich, is that a lot of these battle royale style games got popular because different influencers and different content creators and stuff picked them up that were very large, and they got exposed to a lot of people, and everybody wanted to be in on the action like that. I mean, I think it was Fortnite that Drake and Ninja were playing in their last stream, right? So things like that is what perpetuates a lot of that community and a lot of that buzz for these style of games. Right now, if Boss Key really wanted to kind of get this type of thing popping with their new game like that and not get drowned out by all the other ones that are already on the market, they would look into something like that and really push it hard. Because even though that looks a little bit shady and looks a little bit weird from an optical standpoint, that's a surefire way to make this successful from right out the gate. Because the people that love that style of game are going to look at someone that is kind of, again, someone they look towards, or someone that has influenced a lot of popularity, in order to kind of spark that interest and build that community right there from day one or ground zero.
Oh, no, I agree with that. I absolutely agree with that. The only thing I would say is, in addition to that, though, the game itself has to be something unique about it that could make it stand out from competition. One of the things that Gary and I noticed when we played Lawbreakers last year, there's a lot of stuff in this game that feels as though it has already been done in other games. So it doesn't really feel like there was anything unique about it, even down to the characters, the way that they portray themselves, the jumping off walls. A lot of that stuff has already been done. So that's what I'm saying is that if you're going to present an idea, put it out there. I think it's important to think about how it's going to be different from everything else that's out there. And as I had mentioned before, there's a couple of things, it had just came out. So it's a lot of stuff that the game doesn't quite have right now, the Radical Heights game. So they're going to continue to support it, which is great. But I would think, just knowing that it is Cliffy B's name attached to it, I don't think that's enough for somebody to get hyped now because of Lawbreakers, because you look at the game, you're like, okay, this is the game that he's been working on. That's fine. But what is it about it besides him that's going to draw me into the experience? And I don't think that Lawbreakers had that. I don't really know if this game is going to have it yet either. But again, we will give them time and see how all of this pans out. But Gary, what are your thoughts on Radical Heights? Because I believe you are looking forward to trying out this game.
Not at all. But yeah, I think it looks very desperate because we're just coming off of the announcement that they're shutting down Lawbreakers. There's going to be no new content and no new support for the game at all, because the game was essentially a failure because of the fact that it was a generic kind of clone with nothing original about it, so people didn't buy into it. And now, as soon as that announcement comes out, like a week later almost, this announcement comes out that they're releasing a Battle Royale game tomorrow. And like the first thing I see when I look at it, I'm like, this looks like Fortnite. Like this looks exactly like Fortnite. So clearly they're just trying to create another unoriginal game based on something that's very popular, which is Battle Royale. You know, just like how Lawbreakers was seen as a clone of Overwatch and, you know, other games like that. So it seems very desperate, but also because I'm hearing that like they basically made this game, like this game wasn't actually properly funded by, you know, the parent company or anything. They just kind of did it themselves. So like I guess while they were developing Lawbreakers maybe, or why they were still being paid to develop stuff, they were making this as well. And the thing is, it's not even like fully finished or fully functional. So that's just extra bad because, you know, obviously Fortnite and PUBG are at the top of the food chain, but those two games have had like, you know, basically a year of updates to get to the point where they're at now. Because of course people used to complain about PUBG and everything, but at that point it still had its own identity. It was still original enough for people to enjoy it. But, you know, now Fortnite and PUBG are so popular, like they're the go-to battle royale experiences. Why is anybody going to play Radical Heights when it's broken and, you know, it doesn't look good, it doesn't run well? So like, at least if you're going to put this out, perfect it first, like make it perfect, because people aren't just going to leave PUBG and Fortnite to play this. Like there's literally no reason to. So that, yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, hey, I agree with a lot of the thoughts said. So how about you, Dana? Are you interested in trying out Radical Heights?
I looked at the game and it doesn't really just seem, it seems boring. Nothing about it seems original. And as you guys were saying, is that it looks like a bunch of knockoffs of previous games. I do believe that there will be some people who will purchase it, you know, just to have it and just to see what happens. But I don't really see this making any type of a big splash. Even the way how it was conceived, it just seems to be like a bunch of like throwaway ideas. And it was like, oh, let's just create this. And it wasn't much time or effort put into it. And I know that it's unfinished, and PUBG was unfinished. But the thing is that PUBG, even though it was unfinished, was still good. And I obviously don't know how well this is. From what we can see, it's not exactly, we're not getting the full game, so I can't really give my opinion on that. But I can say that I can say that I have no interest in this whatsoever, and I don't really see this making a big splash other than like the people who are behind it, but I think it'll be forgettable pretty soon. Plus there are other big games coming out, so no, bad timing overall.
I agree. Yeah. So how about you, Max? I know you played a lot of Fortnite and PUBG. So are you planning on trying this out next?
I've never touched PUBG. I'd like to, but I've never touched it. I love Fortnite though. So I'm probably just going to stick with Fortnite when I do play Battle Royale. I think you guys pretty much said all the reasons why. Like there's really nothing unique about this, and that's pretty apparent just from like first impressions. Like it's pretty apparent that there's almost nothing here that's pulling us in. And honestly, I think Cliffy B is just kind of, I don't know what's up with him. I feel like even before Lawbreakers, he was just always just kind of doing his thing and no one was really paying attention. I feel like no one is still really paying attention to him. I don't know why. He just kind of posts about his life and just goes about things. And then, I don't know, he has like, what was it? I was looking on his Twitter the other day. He has like multiple 100,000 followers and he has like no interaction on any of his tweets ever, unless it's like to shit on Lawbreakers or something. So I think he's just kind of there now. I think he's just kind of maybe washed up because his ideas just aren't very good right now. I mean, Lawbreakers, we also kind of from the start weren't very excited about, weren't very hyped. It's like Lawbreakers looked kind of cool, but it didn't look like anything unique or new or different. And it really wasn't, from what I've heard. I actually didn't play it myself, but I watched a lot of gameplay and it looked just kind of like a lesser Overwatch. There were some cool little mechanics in it, but they were all kind of gimmicky. Which is the issue. And then Radical Heights, I don't even know if Radical Heights is gimmicky stuff to like bring you in. It just really seems like they're trying to capitalize on a trend here, and like it's already too late for that anyways. Like I feel like even if this game was quote unquote finished and like polished and everything, I still feel like it'd be a bit too late. No one's going to move from PUBG or Fortnite, like you guys said, unless there was something entirely unique here. And even I saw PUBG is starting to like branch out from just being Battle Royale. I think they're doing a team deathmatch mode now, like you can respawn and stuff. So they're starting to branch into that, you know. And Fortnite still has their like other game mode, which is fun. I really, really like the Fortnite PvE. I think it's very underrated. And people can always go play that as well. And it's just with Radical Heights, you just have an inferior Battle Royale game. It's just kind of dumb. It's just kind of, I don't understand why they even thought this would be a good idea, to be completely honest with you. Maybe they started it early on and then they just took their time with it and they missed the point to do it, like the point to release where it would have been good. But I don't know. It just seems way too late. Just a dumb idea, in my opinion.
Yeah, so very interesting insight that you said in your as far as Joe, what you think about the game. So when we go to E3, I'm gonna let you ask Cliffy B directly. What the hell was he thinking when he decided to make this game?
I would absolutely love to. I saw him I was like almost right next to him at E3 actually last year. So I would love to, maybe that'll happen again and I can just ask him, yeah, like, what the hell are you doing, man? Because, yeah, he just seems like he's just kind of just bumming around off of his Gears money and stuff. I don't know. But, yeah, whatever. You know, not everyone can just always keep doing that, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. All right, and Mr. Polanco, are we going to potentially see this game played on Throwdown Plays? Or
yeah, I think this is going to be the big game that everybody on Throwdown plays. This is going to be the shit right now, man. Like everybody on this show is going to be playing this. Okay, before I give my opinion, I want to read this tweet. Right, this is from ex-CEO Cass Harai, you know, the parody account on Twitter. He goes, "Radical Heights isn't Cliffy B's first Battle Royale game. Lawbreaker started with 100 players online and very quickly only had one left."
That's hilarious.
That is fantastic. Man. That's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna miss that account, man, because he's gonna like close it down on, you know, after E3. Very sad. That is my favorite Twitter account. But yeah, man, here's the thing. We talked about this on Throwdown. A couple of things, right? And I'm not trying to say this to be an asshole. I'm just being real, right? Do you, and this is more of a question for you guys, do you feel that guys like Cliffy B, and David Jaffe, and KG Inafune are kind of like washed up? You know, it's like they're kind of living off their past glories. They haven't really
100%.
Yeah, they haven't produced anything. Like you said, Max, like Twitter, you know, Cliffy B's just on Twitter talking about stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's not like Kojima where he's still producing things. You know what I'm saying? Like things that people are actually excited for. Cliffy B, yes, like, yeah, you got Unreal Tournament, you got on, you know, Gears of War, but after that, I haven't really done anything, man. You know, even David Jaffe, it's like everybody still gives him praise for the first God of War and Twisted Metal, but after that, what has he really done? He hasn't done anything, you know? So I don't know, man. Again, I'm not saying these guys can't rebound or whatever. They obviously can, but you know, the thing is, if you're going to rebound, and this is the other part I want to make, it's like, okay, Cliffy B, Unreal Tournament and Gears of War, even though they were kind of inspired by other games, they were still very original on their own, right? If you look at Lawbreakers, it's a fucking ripoff of you know, Overwatch and stuff. This shit's a ripoff of Fortnite. I'm like, dude, do something original, man. Like, if you want to be relevant again, you got to do something original. It's like, and if you can't do something original, maybe it's time to call it quits. You know, I'm not saying it's like instead of producing this dreck, because I'm sorry, this looks bad. You know, and I think, don't they have like a beta of this shit or alpha? And from what I'm hearing, it's not that good either, you know? So I don't know, man. I don't know if I exactly made a point here, but, you know, I'm just trying to say, it's like, I think Cliffy B, not trying to shit on the guy, because obviously mad respect for him, I think he may want to consider, if he can't do anything like worthwhile, maybe it's time to just have an early retirement, man, you know?
Well, hey, I can't argue with anything you said. Yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I'm very curious to see if this game actually picks up any steam, because I'm pretty sure there may be some people that might play it, but we'll see. I like you say, I definitely expect better ideas, better things from this guy, especially being that he worked on Gears of War. But I don't know what's going on. We'll have to wait and see how everything pans out, I guess. But I believe that's it. Unless anyone else has any other thoughts on this topic.
Yeah, real quick, like, because remember when Cliffy B was making the excuse that Lawbreakers wasn't selling because PUBG was doing so well. So it was his response to that to make his own Battle Royale game, like his own knockoff PUBG. Is that what it is?
That's a good question.
That's fantastic.
That's very good question.
I don't know. I remember him saying that, and it was like there is somewhat of a point to that. Like, yes, people are playing these games over playing other games. There is a point to that, but I think at the end of the day, that is nowhere near the reason Lawbreakers was not successful. Like, those people still would like buy Lawbreakers. They just maybe wouldn't be playing it as much. Like, those people, the people that don't exclusively just play like Fortnite and stuff, they still buy other games. They just mostly play like Fortnite and everything. Like, Lawbreakers didn't sell at all. It's like that audience, it is a similar audience. And again, he has some say there, but it's not the thing that like ruined Lawbreakers. It's not like that's the reason the game didn't see any success at all. That doesn't make any sense. That's just a dumb excuse. And if this is really his reasoning now is like, oh yeah, we'll just make our own. Like, that's just sad, kind of. That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Sure.
Well, I wish them well, and we'll see what comes from this game. All right, let's go ahead. Let's move on to the next topic. And actually, Dana, these next two topics are some things that you definitely wanted to talk about. So the floor is yours.
Okay, so first off, I wanted to say that I've been to a couple movie screenings, and the ones that I can talk. Oh, I thought that was me. Okay, sorry. So the ones that I can talk about is one I just saw. I Feel Pretty, Amy Schumer movie, about her being, an ugly duckling and not having any self-confidence because she's an ugly duckling. She hits her head. She ends up with a concussion, and now she thinks she's magically beautiful because of this concussion. It sounds really awful. Sounds really, really bad for your confidence and self-esteem. It was a pretty decent movie. I would say it's like on the level of a Lifetime movie network on a Saturday. But it still made me chuckle. It wasn't that bad. So I don't recommend you run out and see it, but like wait until it comes on actual Lifetime. Another movie that I did see was Transylvania 3. That's for the kids. It's animated. It's the third movie in the Transylvania series. This time they go on vacation, and basically the Dracula character that's played by Adam Sandler, he's being hunted down, and he is trying to just basically find love, survive. Everyone has like their own little separate stories. The whole family, they are all involved with college and finding love and romance, and he's alone and he tries dating again. So it's really cute. It's a fun little movie, so you guys can take your kids or your grandkids or I don't know, cousins, nieces, and kidnap a kid and go see that movie. That was decent. Also, now one of the big things that we have going on is the grandfather or even the godfather of all of comic book superhero legend, Stan Lee. He's been having a very, very tough time. He has been suffering elder abuse and money issues ever since his wife died. He is 95 years old. He is still grieving over the death of his wife, who died very recently in 2017. And now he's in a nasty battle with his care and with his estate as well. Back in February, he was a little bout of pneumonia, and that was about, he wasn't feeling well. He ended up in the hospital, and so he ended up with his daughter, who was basically, trying to care for him, and it just wasn't going out well. Then it ended up with, he has a manager that he's known for decades and decades that has been basically, he says, has been stealing all of his money, has been keeping him in his home, has not been allowing him to go outside, do his appearances as normal, live the life that Stan Lee always led before. And so now he's in a battle with him. There's a lot of money issues going on. And he's also claiming that the manager is trying to steal his blood, like actually have like the nurse come in with the syringe, take his blood so that he could sell it online. along with other of Stan Lee's merchandise and possessions. And that, it's so horrible. And his friends are gathering around him and his family, what's left, and they're saying that their greatest fear is that he'll become homeless and destitute. And so he's in this lawsuit, and right now they're just trying to fight for his estate, which is now worth between $50 and $70 million. But everything is just in limbo, and a lot of people are coming in and they're trying to take over, his power of attorney. Now that he's older and, he's not in that great state that he was before. And the death of his wife really contributed to like the decline of his health. So many thoughts and prayers, and hopefully he's able to fight this battle. And this is a terrible thing that's going on with him. The second story is that we are still going to get a Batgirl movie. Warner Brothers is determined to give us another sucky movie. They don't care. This time it was supposed to be Josh Whedon, as we knew before, but he's dropped out and he was like, I'm tired. I can't do this anymore. And now we have Christina Hodson, who wrote the upcoming Transformers spinoff Bumblebee. She's now going to write the script that is going to feature Barbara Gordon, who is the daughter of Gotham City Police Commissioner James Gordon. Barbara Gordon, she's came out in 1967. Tony knows a lot more about this, and she's been a very established character. However, they're going to take a little bit of freedom with this. They said it's going to be like the comic books. They didn't say which one, but they're going to find their own independent, path towards it. So it's inspired by the comic books. So basically, we're still going to get that movie. We don't know what day, we don't know what year. Nothing has really been released aside from we have a new writer. We also know that Batgirl is going to be featured in an all-female crime fighting group called Birds of Prey, which may also feature Harley Quinn. So DC is still trying to give us a bunch of movies that nobody asked for. So that's what's going on.
Yeah. Oh yeah, real quick, because that last story was like shouts to Wesley. Wesley actually wanted us to talk about that. He asked a question actually, and he said, "Do you think the Batgirl movie is actually going to be good without Joss Whedon?" And he also noted that Joss Whedon was probably removed from the movie because of the stuff that came out about him, the sexist stuff and all that. So, but he basically wanted to know, if we still think the movie is going to be good.
Josh Whedon doesn't break or make a movie. We had Patty Jenkins and she was pretty decent for what she did. But it wasn't that great, but it was still decent. I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and say something that might be a little controversial. Although with everyone on this show, I highly doubt that. I personally don't think anything that DC does is going to be good until I am proven otherwise. Wonder Woman was a good movie. It wasn't perfect. It had its issues. But every other movie that they have done, I have not been impressed with any of them. So that track record, they're still going to have to work to repair that, because a lot of people still don't like Batman versus Superman. So I think it's going to take a while. Now, obviously, with this movie here, a lot of people, they love this particular franchise. They love Batman. So definitely going to check it out. But it all depends how it comes together. Who was behind the movie? What the trailer? What it looks like when they start releasing trailers, stuff like that. But for right now, in terms of DC and the live action movies, I will always take a wait and see before I would say. But I pretty much they've all been negative to some extent, with the exception of Wonder Woman. That's the only one that I was like, okay, this is fine. And even that movie still has some issues. But that's just my opinion.
But the biggest concern for me is that Josh Whedon gave his excuse. And he was like, the reason why I had to drop out was because I couldn't even come up with a story. So if you have everyone in DC and they can't come up with a story, that seems to be a larger problem than anything. So that's my main concern. You can't even come up with a story? Oh. How sad is that? And he's been attached to it for about over a year, and over a year you still can't come up with anything. And he made this excuse, yes, it was a little bit after the whole allegations, but he was very adamant that he couldn't think of anything.
So I want to ask Tony, what does he think? Because I know he said a lot of times DC, the animated movies are better than the live action. Do you have faith in this live action Batgirl movie, or you don't care about this?
Fuck no. I don't have faith in any of these DC movies, man. Been fucking it up. I pretty much agree with you, man. And this whole thing, Josh Whedon directing it, directing it really doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. This movie's gonna be trash. These people need to get their shit together, man. And by the way, not to get too off topic, but you heard what they're doing with the Flash movie, right? How are you gonna have the first Flash movie be the one where he resets time? I'm like, come on, man. It's dumb. It's clear they have no idea what they're doing here, man. No faith in this movie.
Batman versus Superman is erased from our memory.
Yeah, right. Yeah, can you go back in time and erase that filth? Come on, man. No, so I don't really have too much to say because it's just gonna be negative. I have no faith in these DC movies, these Warner Brothers movies at all. Until they get somebody new in there to really run shit right, I don't have any faith in this nonsense. So what else do they have? I know they got Batgirl, they got something else coming out. I don't have faith in any of this shit.
Well, yeah, they have the all-female villain movie that's coming out.
That's right. Oh, God, don't they have a No, that's the animated one. I was thinking about the Suicide Squad. The animated DC movies are fine, by the way, people. You go watch those. Don't watch the live action ones.
Gaslight, especially in Batman Ninja, also.
Yeah.
And so they have that, and they're bringing back the Cyborg movie because Black Panther did so well. So they're like, yay, Black people love seeing Black characters. So they're going to shove Cyborg at us, thinking that, because it's Black, we're going to flock to it.
This is what's wrong with Hollywood right now. This is what's wrong with them. Let's go back to Deadpool for a second, right? They see Deadpool. They're like, oh, people want to see radar movies. No, the movie did well because it was a good movie. Now they're seeing Black Panther. Oh, they want to see black movies. Like, no, they want to see good movies. Black Panther did well because it's a good fucking movie. And it's a great character. And I'm sorry, Black Panther is a way better character than Cyborg. And I guarantee you that Cyborg movie is going to flop if it comes out. Look at it. They keep canceling his comic books. They keep casting Cyborg's comic books for a reason. The character is just not that good. I'm sorry. Cyborg works well in a team, not by himself. Black Panther works. Come on, man.
And also we're getting the Black Adam movie, and Dwayne Johnson gave an update, and he's like, it's going to come out in 2019. So,
right.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Well, I will say this, since you brought that up, since you mentioned Dwayne Johnson, I will just make this comment, and this may also be considered controversial. I saw Rampage the other day, and I will say this, as I've said before, all the DC movies, I haven't liked any of them. Rampage had a lot of issues, but I still enjoyed that better than all the DC movies I've seen, with the exception of Wonder Woman. So that's all I'll say about that. Obviously,
that it's the best video game adaptation. Is that true?
I don't know if I would go that far. I wouldn't say that. I mean, the thing is, they changed a couple of things with the storyline. So it's not completely like the game. It's just the relationship that Dwayne Johnson has with the actual creatures, namely the gorilla George, they call him. That was a little funny back and forth thing. A lot of jokes that some people will be like, oh, well, they feel like they've seen that joke before, but it's still funny to see no matter how many times you've seen it. And then the whole thing with the people, it's some stupid villains in the movie, which I also find funny because, of course, they get what's coming to them at the end. But the stupid villains that think they can control these creatures that are now massive, it's just absolutely retarded. But I mean, it's a dumb, fun movie if you understand what I mean when I say that. So if you go into this movie and you're not expecting a fantastic storyline or anything else, just dumb, funny stuff, then yeah, you'll have a great time. But yeah, I did saw that and I laughed through most of the movie, so I don't have any negative things to say. But I as I said, I definitely enjoyed it more than I've enjoyed some of these DC movies that I've seen as of late. So DC has a lot of work to do. We'll see.
Yeah. And also Kevin Smith is like, he wants Warner Brothers DC to make a Batman horror film instead. That would be interesting.
I wonder what that would look like.
If done right.
Yeah,
Batman Gaslight was kind of horror.
Yeah. Hey, it's we'll see what they do. I mean, they have a lot of options of things that they can do, but all I know is they need to work on putting out some better movies in general. So we'll see.
And don't forget, we also have Aquaman coming up. So yay!
Oh yeah, Gary's looking forward to that. That's in November, so that's the only DC movie they got released in this year. So
no, yeah, no, is it?
I think it is. Yeah, they aren't even going to try to compete with Marvel's other movies. So that's we'll see about that.
Yeah. Sure.
All right, so I think we can now move on to the main topic. I'm pretty sure this is the topic that everybody wanted to hear. They came to the show today specifically to hear us talk about this. Obviously, we need to talk about God of War. Now, I know reviews came out this past week, and I've seen nothing but various websites, people saying that it is the greatest game of this generation. So before we get into that topic, Mr. Polanco, please feel free to let us know more about God of War.
All right. By the way, I want to give a shout out to Ruthless right now in the chat. Yo, my man is tripping right now, son. Now, okay, so we're going to talk about an exclusive game right now, Ruthless. So just be prepared. Exclusive, must have, system seller. All right. So yeah, first of all, I want to publicly thank Sony for sending me a copy early. You know, I was very humbled by that. And Rich, as you know, last weekend, all I did was just play this game. I went ham. Like, I didn't stop. It was like I only stopped to eat, sleep, and shit and shower. That's it. Other than that, it was just this game nonstop. And oh my God, like everything you've read, you know, especially my review of the game, wink, wink, over at geek.com. It's all true, man. This is like a generation defining game, man. Like we've had really good games this generation, but I think this one really takes things to a whole other level. Not only that, but it really reinvents the franchise without like destroying it. Like I know people were worried that like this is going to be radically different. They thought the game was going to be a walking simulator. It's going to be a bunch of QTs. I don't know where all this stuff comes from, by the way. But no, it's nothing like that. Like, don't get me wrong. The first couple of hours, to me, it felt very different than other God of War games just because of the camera angle. But I didn't realize that until a few hours. I'm like, oh, wait, it's just the camera angle that's weirding you out now because you're still, you know, going through like these, mythical lands. You're fighting crazy creatures. You're doing puzzles, platforming. I'm like, so it's basically a standard God of War game just from a different point of view. But because of that point of view, because the camera is always behind Kratos and there's never any cutaways in the game either. It's like if something happens, like the camera will just swing away or whatever from Kratos, but it doesn't, it never cuts. So it kind of creates this like more personal feeling because you're always there with Kratos. Kratos is always on screen no matter what. You know, it really creates a dynamic that hasn't been seen before. And then, of course, you got the fact that, you know, his son is there with him now. He has a boy named Atreus, and he has a new dynamic because Kratos is obviously like old and bitter and jaded and shit. And you have the kid, you know, he's never left his home because he was sick or whatever. But everything you see, he's experiencing for the first time. So you kind of get that awe and wonder of the game through the kid. You know, he's just experiencing all this stuff for the first time. And then you also see another side of Kratos because Kratos obviously been this big badass murderer and shit. But now, you know, he's like, you know, being a loving father in Kratos's world, by the way. He's still an asshole, you know, but, you know, he's taking care of this kid and shit, which is really cool. And the kid isn't just there, you know, as like a filler. Like he is like your extended weapon too, because he shoots bows and arrows. You could tell him when to shoot, how, you know, different weapons to use and stuff, or attacks to use. So that's really good. And, you know, here's another thing I want to talk about, the graphics. I didn't really get too deep into it. I find it interesting how people are saying, oh, this game is graphically on the level of a Naughty Dog game. And the reason I find that interesting, like, if you really think about it, every God of War game, even the ones on the PSP, have pushed graphical boundaries. The first one, like, looked like nothing else out there. The second game looked like a PS3 game before the PS3 was even out. You know, the third one looked insane. And then even till today, people will tell you the 2 God of War games on PSP, like no PSP games look as good as those. So this one obviously was going to look as good, and it looks insane. Like I really love the way everything was rendered. The monsters, Kratos, the giant mountains, these crazy giant structures. Everything's just really done with a lot of detail, but it still retains like a specific art style. And I also love how lush the game is. Like there's just so much going on in there. There's very vibrant colors going on. And here's the other interesting thing a lot of people aren't talking about. The game doesn't really have a lot of characters in it, like speaking characters, but I feel that's to its benefit because it helps you get deeper into each character. You get to understand their motivations and all that, which is something God of War games have kind of touched on before, but this one really delves deeper into why, what motivates each character. So I really enjoyed that. And also, from a gameplay standpoint, it's really satisfying. The combat is on point, even though I will admit it is a little bit more difficult now because since the camera's so closer, it's kind of hard to tell when enemies are going to attack, even though the game does. There's a bar behind you, right? And basically, if you see like a yellow arrow, it means enemy's about to attack you. If it's red, you're going to get hit. So you could dodge and stuff, but it's not 100% perfect. It feels like the camera is better suited for one-on-one battles, which are really, really good for the boss battles. Boss battles in this are insane, But yeah, again, all that hype, all that stuff you've been hearing, it's all true, man. This is the game to get. If you got a PlayStation, get this game. If you don't have a PlayStation, get a PlayStation and get this game. This is the real deal, people. You need to get this.
Absolutely. So okay, Gary, first and foremost, I have a question for you. And thank you for that review as well, Mr. Polanco. Right. So Gary, I know you are also a God of War fan. What are your thoughts on the game now after hearing what Tony had to say about it? And of course, you've reviewed a lot of all the other God of War games on the website. So are you looking forward to this game? Do you think the high scores are, justified? Well, you probably can't answer that yet because you haven't played it yet. But yeah, what are your thoughts on God of War?
Yeah, like I knew from the beginning this game was going to be like dope no matter what, because like, you're used to that level of quality with God of War games. Now, of course, we were probably all a little worried at first with the, the different perspective with the child added in and everything, like the different take that they're going for. But, all the reviews have done is kind of validated my thoughts in that, Sony Santa Monica are great at what they do. They know these God of War games inside out, and they know how to make a good God of War game. So even Ascension, which is the weakest of the God of War games, is still good in my opinion. Like this story, the single player mode was actually good in my opinion. It just didn't, it was kind of milked because the story didn't need to exist or anything, but it was still a good game, like the core game itself. So they've never actually made a bad game. So yeah, I've expected this to be good, and I've avoided watching like the latest trailers and everything just because, I want it to be special when I finally get to play it. So I avoided a lot of the most recent trailers and spoilers and things of that nature. I did listen to what Tony had to say on the Throwdown just because, I view Tony as a very credible source, and I respect his opinions on games. So I wanted to hear what he thought of it. But that's really the most I've read up on the game so far, but I am really excited to play it. One thing is though, because I know Tony, you did say it was a difficult game and that it kicked your ass a little bit. Would you say that it's like comparable to Dark Souls in the difficulty? Like, are people going to struggle with the game?
Some people are, but I wouldn't put it to Dark Souls difficulty. The few games reach that level, but this one, you kind of have to be more just aware of your surroundings more. Like, because in previous God of War games, you kind of want to go ham on an enemy doing crazy combos. This one, you kind of want to do like a mini combo and then roll out the way because somebody will hit you from behind, And the game, you do have a shield, so you can use that. And if you're really good at it, I'm still trying to master this myself. You can actually parry attacks, you know. And if you're really ill with parrying, and if you're really good with, because Kratos is able to do like a 180 turn, if you're able to do that, like I think you get really, really good. Like I'm curious to see with like super skilled gamers are going to be able to do with this game. I'm pretty sure they're going to, you know, fly right through it. But your average gamer, you know, they're going to need to like put a little bit more into it because the game, you know, and I consider myself a seasoned gamer. So if I was having a little bit of a problem with it, I'm pretty sure some average gamers are going to have like a little bit of a hard time too, but definitely not anywhere near as like crazy as Dark Souls. I remember, I'm not going to name any names, but I know there was one reviewer who said that the game was ruined for him because of one boss battle. I'm like, boss battles are the easy part of the game, bro, because it's just you and the boss, you know? It's very interesting. I'll tell you guys that name afterwards, but yeah. But no, I think regular people, they're going to have to just step it up a little bit. You have got to get good. You know what I mean? But it's not impossible like Dark Souls.
That's good. I'm all for, you know, adding a bit of difficulty to games because a lot of them are like super easy nowadays. And games used to be like really fun and challenging. So I think we need to kind of get back to that a little bit. But yeah, also I wanted to say with regards to the graphics and what you guys talked about earlier, you know, comparing it to Uncharted. I've always just seen Uncharted and God of War as the two top games that kind of push the boundaries of the PlayStation period. Like in the PS3 area, it was always those two games like that kind of pushed, you know, the boundaries and everything. Of course, this generation, you've had some really amazing games like Horizon, The Order 1886 looked amazing. But we're at a point now where, you know, we're a bit further along and we have the PS4 Pro. So I imagine that this is probably going to be the best looking game on the PlayStation 4 period. And I guess Tony can confirm whether that's correct. You have a Pro, right, Tony?
Yeah, when you play this on the Pro, son, it's on a whole other level, man, because it doesn't reach 60 frames locked or whatever, but it's definitely more than 30 frames, and that smoothness, you definitely feel it in the combat, you know. Don't get me wrong, like, you know, if you played on a normal PlayStation, you're still going to be, you know, you're still going to be good to go, but on the Pro, you get that added bonus of either the performance mode, which enhances the frame rates, or resolution mode. And I haven't seen it myself. I don't have a 4K TV, but I heard that in 4K HDR, this shit is like really legit. And it already looks beautiful on my 1080p TV. So I could only imagine what it looks like on a 4K television, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I can't wait to see how good it looks. I would imagine that this is probably going to be the best looking PlayStation game until Last of Us 2, maybe. So
yeah, I agree with that. I believe this game is gonna help the PlayStation 4 outsell the PS3 this year. I honestly believe that.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like lifetime sales is gonna happen this year. Mark my words.
They just got 2 sales last week, me and my brother. So
there you go.
Working.
Let me ask you, Max. Are you excited for God of War, the new one?
I am incredibly excited. I am hyped as hell, especially after seeing your review and everything, and everyone saying it's one of the best games of the generation. Yeah, I'm very excited for this. Day one.
Nice. There you go. See, Ruthless, man. Exclusives, man.
Honestly, I'd kind of forgotten that God of War was coming out so soon, so it was just like almost fate that I bought the PS4 like last week.
Yeah,
to be completely honest with you. So like it's pretty funny because I was like, oh shit, yeah, God of War is coming out soon. Like that's awesome.
Yeah. And Gary, I actually did do what you did. I actually stayed away from, you know, previews or even videos of God of War as much as possible, and I really think that helped me enjoy it more because I went in like I knew it took place in Norse lands. I knew he had a son or whatever, but other than the basic shit, I went in pretty clean. So I think that's definitely the best way to do that. So if I were you, just for the next 5 days, just stay underground, make sure nobody spoils nothing, and go in fresh, man. That's definitely the best way to experience it.
Yeah, man. The only thing that I actually saw was that he has like a Thor-like weapon, that the axe that kind of comes back to him, and I can't wait to do that for the first time. Like that, I think that's gonna feel amazing.
Yeah, the axe feels really good, and that's not really a spoiler. They want you to know he has an axe in this game, and yeah, that axe is like the way it comes back to you and you grab it is really satisfying, man. And you can do some ill combos with it because, like, for example, you throw the axe at an enemy, right? you know, and he gets knocked down, he gets back up, and you call the axe, and the axe hits him in the back and knocks him down again. It's crazy, man.
Nice.
And also, I'm going to say this without spoiling anything: the axe is not your only weapon in the game. I'm going to leave it at that. Remember, other God of War games, you've had other weapons. You didn't just have one weapon. You had most. You had multiple weapons. Same thing in this one.
Without spoiling anything, how's the kid? Is the kid annoying? Does the kid get in the way? Does it take you out of the game, or does it add to it?
Yes, that great question, because here's the thing. This isn't about kids in general, but when you played The Last of Us, right? Ellie kind of got, you know, it's like you're trying to sneak around and she's running around like crazy. I'm like, what are you doing? You know? That kind of got annoying, but in this one, this is God of War. There's no stealth. You don't have to worry about stealth. But is the kid annoying? I'm gonna a little bit, but that's just because Dana, you know how I feel about children. So in that sense, a little bit when he starts like being a little kiddish, but no, for the most part, especially towards the end of the game, because remember, he goes on a journey himself. So I would say in the beginning he was a little annoying and shit, but by the end it's like, yeah, Atreus, you're the man, bro. You're the man. So I did end up really liking him by the end of the game. You know, halfway through the game, I'm like, yeah, this guy's cool.
Does it take you through the journey of the kid? Are you able to play from childhood to his adulthood, or how does that work? Is it just him in like one time period and you also play as the father? Or
you're Kratos. You control Kratos the entire time, and the game. I hope this isn't a spoiler, but no, it does. The game does not take place over the course of years. It takes place maybe over the course of like a month or so. You know.
Oh, okay.
But even I'm sorry, but you do see growth, like personal growth with a kid in that time.
Okay.
But, yeah, go ahead.
Any type of big major death that we all, theorized?
He can't say that.
I can't say yes or no. I can't say no, yes or no.
You can PM him that question.
Yeah. Dana's trying to get me in trouble.
No, I'm not trying to get you in trouble. I'm just trying to get some answers.
Yeah.
No, it's wonderful, and it seems wonderful. And I read your review, which only made me more happier and hyped for the game.
Nice. Yeah, I'm
happy that it wasn't distracting, because that was my main thing. When you add children to games, things go on that's like you just want that main story. So overall, could you say that this game enhanced the franchise?
It not only did it enhance it and reinvigorated it, because I'm a huge God of War fan. I've been playing the God of War game since the first one. I already felt the series had ran its course. If you were to make another God of War game in the same style, I feel it wouldn't have been as well received, because it's just the same boring old ideas. This one really reinvigorated, and I am excited about God of War again. Like, what happened? Can you rank them
after playing God of War 4?
Yes. Yes. Okay. I guess we're going to do that now. I got asked this during Throwdown. God of War 1 will always be my top favorite game. No God of War game will ever overtake that one. Just because, you got to experience Kratos for the first time, the whole world. It was just very fresh, very new, original. So that one's always going to be the number one. This one is my number 2 God of War game. I know that may be controversial. Yes, I like this game more than 3. I like it, certainly like it more than 2, and I even like it more than the PSP ones, which I love. This one is legit, man. And I think part of the reason for that, just like the first God of War, even though if you have played the other God of War games, you're definitely going to get a little bit more out of it, but you can go into this one clean and be satisfied. It doesn't leave off on a cliffhanger or anything like that. It's a self-contained story for the most part. Even though it does set up future games, it is still a story into itself, and I really enjoyed that.
Sounds good. Yeah, see, you guys answered a lot of questions that I was going to ask myself, so I did have one other question, but before I ask that question, I wanted to ask, so Dana, Max, Gary, you have any other questions you like to pose to Tony about God of War?
No, I want to go in dark.
Oh, yeah, just like me. Hey, listen, I also avoided a lot of trailers. All I saw was Tony's review. I'm not going to bother looking at any videos, nothing, because I want to go into the experience just completely not with no other expectations. So, but here's the question I want to ask, obviously, and I will also give a shout out to Ruthless in the chat. I did see that over the last couple of days, in addition to the game getting a lot of high scores, I even saw Phil Spencer congratulate Sony Santa Monica on the game as well. And also, in seeing that particular congratulation tweet, I also saw news that he is saying that they definitely feel inspired to do more with Xbox's first party lineup. So that's great. But the question I wanted to ask is, I know we've had some people in this chat today talking about the exclusives are not important. I don't know if you guys agree with that or disagree with that, but I just basically wanted to pose the question of, I know you, Tony, you said that this is the best game this generation. Now, do you think that might change depending on when Last of Us 2 comes out, depending on whatever happens with Death Stranding?
Spider-Man.
Yeah, Spider-Man, Death Stranding. I'm just curious because when I hear the best game of this generation, I think to myself, well, I don't think that the PS4 cycle is over yet. So I don't know if that game is going to still be at that level, but I'm just curious, do you think that there's any of these other games will have a chance at topping that? Or do you think that, no, this is definitely hands down the best game so far this generation?
Yeah, and that's the key thing right there. So far, it is the best game of the generation so far. The generation isn't over yet. Just this year alone, we're going to get Spider-Man and Red Dead Redemption 2, right? So those are already heavy contenders, or possibilities for game of the generation right there. And Last of Us 2 obviously is going to be dropping. So I'm not going to say like this cannot be overturned or whatever, but at this moment, it is definitely the best game of the generation, and definitely the best exclusive at this point, But I do want to touch on what you said about Phil Spencer, right? Because very interesting, because this is the same guy that came out to say last year that single player games are just not important anymore. It's all about these multiplayer, whatever. What do they call them? It's like pay to win games or what? I forgot the games as a service. That games as a service, right? Games as a service games are more important. I find that very interesting that this game, Persona 5, Horizon Zero Dawn, Nier Automata, Uncharted 4, Bloodborne, I could go on. All these single player games are proving him wrong. Yes, don't get me wrong. Those games as a service games definitely make a lot of money, right? And they do have longevity in that sense, but they're not games that you're going to really like. They're not games that you're going to like, not to sound too corny. They're not going to stick with you in your heart. You know what I'm saying? You're not really going to feel anything for them. They're just activity games. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. These aren't games that really inspire the imagination, that really make you think about the world in a different way. They're not like that. They're just games that are just purely there for you to just waste time in, right? So I find this very interesting that this one game has now made Phil Spencer and possibly the Xbox team reconsider. And I think that's a good thing, because Xbox this generation has really lacked any meaningful single player games. I can't even name any right now. Like Quantum Break was okay, but it, I already forgot about that shit, So yeah, I hope. Yeah,
that was a joke. That was a joke.
No. That was Max's. No, Max enjoyed that game.
I hate core with a passion.
Yeah. By the way, I need to throw some fuel to the fanboy shit right now. I need to do it. Got to do it. I find it very interesting that Mike Ibarra, Phil Spencer, Major Nelson all came out to congratulate Sony. Who didn't congratulate Sony? Come on, you know who?
Who was that?
Nintendo?
No. From the Microsoft camp, you have four big guys.
Aaron Greenberg,
the guy who eggs on the fanboys, right? Very interesting. He didn't give any congratulations. If I'm wrong, let me see that. But I didn't see him congratulate Sony. Very interesting. Very telling too. Man. But yeah, this game again, I'm glad that it's potentially going to make Microsoft reconsider things, because right now the way Xbox is going, it's not going to be relevant in the next couple of years. Like when the Xbox 2 comes out, no one's going to give a fuck if they keep going in the same direction. They need to change things, man. So yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, going back to God of War, I do need to say this though, just to even things out, right? Because I made fun of the Xbox fanboys. I need to say something about the Sony fanboys, right? These guys were as hyped for the dropping of the review scores as they were for the game, and that makes no sense to me. It's like they're like, "Oh my god, don't you see this game's great? This is the greatest thing ever." I'm like, "Did you play it? Do you know?" You know what I'm saying? It's weird. Like, to celebrate the lifting of review embargo is weird to me. And I've seen guys, they've admitted it. They made that 95 Metacritic score their desktop icon. I'm like, wait, what? What? That's crazy to me.
Yeah, there are people who made that their Twitter AVI too.
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
really, really weird.
Yeah, like and they had to change it. Remember, Max? Because first it was 94, then
Yeah.
it was a 95.
Yeah, and then they made their names like Metacritic 95.
Yeah,
It's ridiculous.
we both know why they do that, because they want to piss off the Xbox fanboys.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's silliness. Because I'm like, okay, yeah. I mean, I understand getting hyped for a game. I understand getting excited. Those are good things, right? Those are positive things. But I don't know. I feel a lot of this excitement is really coming from the fact that the Sony ponies have like more ammunition against the Xbox, you know, which is kind of sad, but I guess it shouldn't be surprising in this day and age, you know. But besides all that nonsense, yeah, again, this is the game to get. You need to play this game. You need to experience it. It's fucking amazing, man.
I'm hyped.
Absolutely looking forward to it. And once again, one thing I will say, you know, also, like I said, God of War, great game. I've said this publicly on Twitter before. I've said it multiple times. I'll say it again. When a company shows you that they are committed to making great titles, period, you got to give them props. You know, Sony, as you guys already mentioned, you know, God of War is out next week. We know Spider-Man's coming out. We also know that earlier this year, they released Shadow of the Colossus, which was a fantastic game in and of itself, a remake. But the way that they remade it was just fantastic. And then you also got Detroit Become Human. That's coming out next month. A lot of people have skipped over that game thinking, oh, that won't do anything. I know a couple of those people because I've spoken to them. But yeah, I mean, it's no doubt about it. Whether or not the game may not be for every single type of person out there, you have to give Sony credit for having a diverse lineup of games that they're putting out there in front of people to play. So I give them props on that. And as for Xbox, you know, we'll see what happens with Xbox. As I said, Sea of Thieves, that's not really a game that I have even had a chance to really get into. I know Max loves the game, so, you know, it's a difference of opinion. And then, of course, they have State of Decay 2 coming out next month. Crackdown, we haven't heard anything about Crackdown. So obviously, Microsoft has a lot to talk about at this E3 show coming up here in June. And I'm very curious to hear what they have to say. But we'll just have to wait and see what they have planned for the future. And this could be very much be a situation whereas the Xbox One obviously doesn't really have a lot of major titles or major exclusives that drop, but the next console, next generation, maybe they will have a lot of stuff by then to, you know, keep gamers enticed for those that prefer Xbox. But until then, no doubt about it, I'm pretty sure, you know, just as much as they send out the congratulatory tweets, there has to be a part of them thinking, man, we really have to get our lineup to this level because everyone is thinking, can Xbox release games at this same level of quality? And I think it is possible, but I mean, it takes time to really, you know, takes time. And they also have to trust these studios to actually give them freedom to do other stuff. Like we go back to Quantum Break, and we spoke about this on the show before. Quantum Break was a game that, you know, you've heard the studio say before they wanted to work on the next Alan Wake, and Microsoft told them, no, we want you to work on Quantum Break. So that is an example right there. When the devs want to do something, maybe you should let them do it, especially because Alan Wake is a game that would have done better anyway because everybody has been waiting for a sequel to that story. So again, give Xbox the benefit of the doubt, and we'll see whatever Phil Spencer has planned for the future. But just in general, to not make it just about Xbox and PlayStation, whenever a good game comes out, I'm glad and I want to enjoy the game. So I will give props to whoever it is, whether it's on Xbox, Nintendo, or PlayStation. If it's a great game, I will give props and I will give them credit for that. It's simple as that. So anybody that doesn't want to pick up God of War, that's fine, if they don't want to, but there's a reason why the game is getting high praise. I at least would be interested enough to see why that is, so I would give it a try. But that's just my opinion. But that's all I had to say on the matter. Any other thoughts on God of War before we wrap up today's show?
Get the game. That's all I'm saying. Get the game, man. Get 2 copies if you need to. Buy one for a friend. Oh, actually, you know what? I'll do this during the shout out part. I was about to give a quick shout out, but I'll do that for that part.
Okay. All right. So I believe that concludes our show for this week. Thank you all for listening, checking out the show. Regardless of if you're watching live or listening later on the download, we appreciate the continued support. So, Tony, how about you give your shout outs first?
All right. First, I want to give a big shout out to Egress, Sergio Curel, who actually won our God of War contest. Big shout out to him. He's been a big supporter of Throwdown since the beginning. So I was very happy that he was the one that ended up winning that copy, because we decided, hey, you know what, God of War is coming. A lot of our fans like the game, are big fans of the franchise. So let's get somebody a copy. So we already ordered his copy, and hopefully, Zeus, or actually, I guess Odin willing, let's go with that, he will get his copy on release date. So shout out to him. Shout out to everybody in the chat right now, including Ruthless, who's tripping, but he's still giving us love. So I got to give him respect on that end, and obviously shout out to everybody in this panel right now. It was always good to be on this show talking about games and movies and all that other good jazz, and, just shout out to gaming in general, man. Just keep it gaming and stop with the bullshit.
I agree. How about you, Dana? Any shout outs that you want to give?
Shout out to everybody in the chat, everyone for participating, and shout out to Sony, which I can't say why yet, but we'll have details later.
I like that. That's a good one. Yeah, I like that. How about you, Max? Any shout outs that you want to give?
Yeah, as always, thanks everyone for joining in the chat today. It was incredibly entertaining to watch and to read through. There's some decent conversation going in there as always. Thanks everyone who supports the show after and listens after. As always, we appreciate that support, and I'll see you guys soon.
Absolutely. So I also want to give a quick shout out. I want to give some shout outs to Mr. Jake James Lugo. He had to dip out, but he went to PAX East last week, as he's already mentioned. If you haven't had a chance to check out his conversation video with Gary, please do feel free to do so, and check out all of the reviews that he's been doing as of late. I want to give a shout out to everybody who was here today. Everybody that was in the chat. I was unable to participate because it's a lot to have to watch all this stuff at once. But thank you for your continued support. I want to give you guys a quick programming note and let you know that I might not be here next week because I have to attend an event that I can't talk about next week. And it's actually the day I come back is the same day that we're going to be recording this show. So I will be able to talk about it in the future, but I obviously can't talk about it right now. But stay tuned for that because I'll have a lot to say on that later. But that's it for me. Gary, the floor is now yours. So give the shout outs as well as let everybody know the winner of our God of War giveaway that we did.
Yep, indeed. So I'm going to shout out all of our Patreon supporters because, this was a Patreon only giveaway for God of War. So big shouts to our supporters, M. Collins, Sean Gority, Stephen Ferron, Mauricio Aguilar, Himdil, Fergus Mills, and Miguel. We appreciate you all. And the winner of the giveaway was Sean Gority. So congratulations. We'll be in touch to send you your copies soon. If Richard hasn't messaged you already, I'm not quite sure, but yeah, we'll be in touch anyway, and you'll get your game as soon as possible. So congrats to you, and definitely big shouts to all of the people in the chat right now. Definitely an entertaining chat today. Shouts to Ruthless Kid creating chaos in there. I feel like it's like 2011 again, like when Ruthless was on the team back then, creating chaos. But yeah, definitely entertaining today. And big shouts to Tony for joining us, and shouts to Carlos Romero for being in the chat as well, and everyone else who joined in and participated in the conversation today.
Absolutely. Yes. And again, shout out to Tony Polanco for being on today's show, and make sure you check out Throwdown tonight. Throw down your questions.
Yeah, man, we're probably gonna get a lot of God of War questions tonight, man. Send them my way.
Absolutely.
And Ruthless, you can send us some questions too, man. Yo, this dude is a fucking I'll stop. This dude is son.
Yeah, that's all here for entertainment. But
that's my dude, man. He's from Luton too.
Yeah. But once again, thank you all for checking out the show. And we'll talk to you all next week.